Today, we are diving straight into the brand new iOS 27 beta to see if this big September release is, well, really worth your time. If you've been wondering what Apple's been cooking up behind the scenes lately, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to break down the 5 absolute best new features coming to your iPhone, counting them all the way down from number 5 to a literal game changer at number 1. Now, I absolutely love this quote from our source material. The update of refinement. Because iOS 27 really isn't about massive, sweeping visual changes or totally reinventing the wheel. It's about finally fixing the stuff we've been waiting for a long, long time. In fact, it's already being described as one of the most stable developer betas in recent memory. And while most of us everyday users are going to wait until the official September drop, these early signs point to just a rock-solid foundation. So what exactly makes this the most refined update in years? And more importantly, what is that number 1 feature that's actually going to change how you use your phone every single day? Is it the artificial intelligence, the design tweaks, or maybe something completely hidden under the hood? Well, let's figure that out together right now. Okay, let's kick off this countdown. Coming in number 5, AI Photo Magic. Apple is bringing some seriously powerful generative AI capabilities straight into the native Photos app. We're talking about a massive leap from just erasing random photo bombers in the background. Now we're getting tools that generate entirely new edges for a photo, or even morph the physical perspective of where the camera was shot from. So we already had the cleanup tool, which, by the way, has gotten noticeably better. But now we get extend and spatial reframe. Extend intuitively uses generative AI to literally build out the edges of a photo. So, say you took a picture in portrait mode, but you really needed it to be landscape. You just pinch out, and the AI reconstructs those missing outer edges from scratch. It's wild. And then there's spatial reframe. This lets you drag and morph the perspective to make it look like the physical camera actually moved. It generates all new pixels to fill in the blanks. It is absolutely brilliant for fixing a shot where your symmetry was just, a few degrees off. Now, there's always a catch, right? While these tools are incredible, they come with some pretty strict rules. Because generating all these new pixels requires heavy cloud-based models, you absolutely have to have an active internet connection. No airplane mode editing for this one. Plus, Apple's going to stubbornly cut you off after one single extend or reframe edit per photo. It just basically says, okay, that's enough. But here's a clever little workaround. If you just take a screenshot of that first edit, you can then extend or reframe that new screenshot to keep going. Pretty sneaky, right? All right, moving right along to number 4, the freaking finally features. Honestly, these are those stubborn omissions that practically became internet memes over the years. But Apple has finally solved a bunch of these daily headaches all at once. First up, you can finally adjust your alarm volume separately from your system ringtone volume. Next, the handoff from weak Wi-Fi to cellular is noticeably better. You know that one annoying spot in your driveway where Apple Maps just totally freezes up because it's clinging for dear life to your home Wi-Fi? Yeah, iOS 27 now aggressively drops that weak signal so you get onto cellular data instantly. Also, if you use CarPlay, you can finally scrub back and forth on the timeline of whatever media you're playing. And lastly, for AirPods users with an H2 chip or later, you get a custom 3-band equalizer. I mean, it's basic, but hey, we will absolutely take it. Hitting number 3, liquid glass aesthetics. So we're seeing a ton of aesthetic tweaks that make the whole OS crisper, easier to read, and vastly more customizable. You might remember the big liquid glass design language from iOS 26. Well, it's back, but now you have total control over it. Apple actually caved and added a dedicated appearances tab. Inside, you'll find a literal slider. By default, things are just a tiny bit more opaque than last year, but if you drag that slider all the way to the right, your icons become heavily frosted and solid. Drag it all the way to the left, and everything becomes completely glassy and transparent. It's a really simple tool, but if you're someone who loves customizing your home screen, it's a total game changer. Oh, and you can also finally shrink the lock screen clock way down to a new compact option. Down to number 2, Siri finally gets snort. Okay, let's just be honest with each other here. For the last 10 years, Siri has been borderline useless. But now, it has received a complete ground-up overhaul. It even has this beautiful glowing crystal orb animation that expands right out of the dynamic island when you hold the power button. You can drag it into a full conversation window. The voice is vastly more expressive, but the real superpower driving all of this is local indexing. When you first install iOS 27, your phone actually spends a couple of days quietly optimizing and scanning your personal data in the background. It safely reads your iMessages, your emails, calendar events, and photos directly on the device. Because it's local, it's fast, incredibly secure, and deeply integrated into your actual life. Siri has essentially caught up to what we all expect from a modern AI assistant. Because of this deep local indexing, you can ask a totally vague question. Imagine just asking, hey, where was I 2 Saturdays ago? Siri instantly jumps into action. It cross-references your locally stored wallet transactions, it looks at your hotel receipts, it checks the geotags on the photos you took that day, and it will literally tell you you were in Greensboro, North Carolina playing a game. It is incredibly comprehensive. It also has on-screen awareness now, meaning you can ask questions about what's actively displayed on your screen. There's even a new Siri mode in the camera app where you can just snap a photo and ask Siri to identify whatever it's looking at. Now, there is one major catch to all of this magic. Right now, it mostly just works with Apple's own apps. iMessage, Photos, Calendar. If you want Siri to dig into your WhatsApp or your Telegram or your Gmail, it can't. Well, not yet anyway. We're currently playing a waiting game for third-party developers to push out updates that flag their app data and let Siri look inside. We're seeing tiny hints of this rolling out already, but honestly, it'll probably be closer to September before your favorite third-party apps are fully plugged into Siri's new brain. Real quick, before we reveal the #1 feature, we gotta shout out a few honorable mentions packed into this update. If you take a picture of food, the Photos app has a new lookup button that gives you a sliding scale of how healthy it thinks that meal is. So yeah, prepare to be judged by your iPhone. Also, the Passwords app is getting an insane upgrade. It will now act as a personal agent to automatically log in and fix your weak or compromised passwords for you completely behind the scenes. You can also finally create complex Siri shortcuts from scratch, just using natural, everyday language. And at long last, you can do threaded replies in iMessage with Android users. And now, taking the crown for our #1 best feature, unprecedented speed upgrades. Absolutely everything behind the scenes has been optimized. And I want to be clear, this isn't just a slight bump, it's a fundamental shift in how the OS handles everyday tasks. Let's actually look at the numbers. Thanks to a totally optimized CPU scheduler, loading photos into your gallery right after you snap a picture is a staggering 70% faster. You know that annoying slight hesitation you sometimes get when you take a picture and then try to view it? Poof, gone. But it goes way beyond just the camera. General app loading across the entire operating system is now 30% faster. Apple has directly addressed years of behind-the-scenes bloat, stripping out inefficiencies so that opening apps, switching between tasks, and just swiping around your home screen feels incredibly snappy and responsive. And if you're someone who shares a lot of files, photos, or videos with friends, you are going to absolutely love this. The time it takes to execute AirDrops has been sped up by an unbelievable 80%. It is a massive, highly noticeable change to one of the most used features on the iPhone. So why does a speed upgrade take the #1 spot? One word: compatibility. If you have a brand new iPhone, you might only notice a subtle difference because, well, your phone is already fast. But this optimized CPU scheduler rolls all the way back to 2019's iPhone 11. It completely destroys that old internet myth that Apple updates only exist to slow down your older devices. Instead, iOS 27 kicks in and breathes fresh, snappy life into older hardware, making a 5-year-old phone feel brand new again. So, think about what we've covered. We've got the incredible new AI photo tools, the long overdue finally fixes, the sleek liquid glass customization, a massively upgraded Siri, and unprecedented speed optimizations across the board. Knowing that this update strips out the inefficiencies and breathes entirely fresh life into your phone, the only question left is, are you brave enough to download and install iOS 27 on day 1? Have a think on that, and we will see you in the next explainer.